Hey, this is Meridith, Elliott, Powell, and yes, it is Saturday morning, a little later, which is my fault. We'll talk about that in a moment, but welcome to Sales Logic, the show where we dive into the strategies, discuss the steps, everything that you need to know to sell more effectively and more efficiently. I'm here with my co-host, one tired guy, because he has worked his tail off for the last few days. Welcome, Mark Hunter.
Well, hey, thank you. And tired because we are both back from Outbound. Of course, I was there for 6 days. You were there for, I don't know when you got, but yeah, 4 days. It is a mind-blowing event. So I guess that's what we're going to be talking about. So why don't we go and roll the video and get into the show? How's that sound?
Let's pop in.
Prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity is the foundation from which everything is built on.
You better understand value. But at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. It is a people business. It is an emotional business.
This is Sales Logic.
Yes, it is a Sales Logic podcast. All right. Every week, Mark and I come to you on Saturday mornings, and we talk about really some powerful things you need to know about sales. Mark, I want to dive into today's topic, so I'm just going to do a really quick rundown of how the show works, and then you can kind of dive us through what's on the table today. But every week we have a topic. Our favorite part of the show is when we take a question from you, our audience. So if you have a question, go to saleslogicpodcast.com, saleslogicpodcast.com, or just throw it out there on social media, hashtag Sales Logic. We talk about a book that you should be reading or one that we're highly engaged in. And then we leave with a lightning round, our top strategies for you to put into place that very next day.
Yeah, and it's going to be a fast show this morning because, hey, the topic we're going to be talking about highlights from Outbound. That's the sales-focused conference on prospecting, productivity, and pipeline. So that's the topic. We've got a book that's going to go along with it. It's even going to be a surprise to Meridith because I haven't even told her. How's that sound? But hey, let's get to the question. The question comes from, and I hope I get his name correct, Ishrit Singh from Bangalore, India. He says, I'm part of an inside sales team for a US-based analytics consulting firm. Currently, I am struggling to find new prospects and engage my current clients in a conversation due to the highly technical nature of problems and end up depending on the solution team for closure. In other words, he's confused about how does he handle the entire sales process when he's only handling a piece of it. So, Mayor, jump in.
Yeah, I loved this. I loved this question. One, because first of all, I really appreciate when guests write in. We just got this one last week. The second is I can really relate to it. I started in banking, having come out of healthcare. And because I had a sales background, my boss said, just get on the street and sell, just get on the street and sell. And the problem was I could sell, I could open the conversation, but the moment somebody really started to ask me some pretty deep questions, I had to go get one of my colleagues to come in and help me. And it was all right, maybe for the first part of it, but then I started to feel inadequate. And quite frankly, I didn't like it. So I think one of the very first things you need to do is what I did. I just went to that time to the head of our training department. And I said, what is it going to take for you to put something special in place for me? Now, she was really challenged with that because all of their training was based on sales training because that was the skill people didn't know how to do. They didn't really have anything to intimately understand the stuff that I wanted to understand, but she was gracious and she helped me and she put things together for me. I also went out and asked other people to be really good at this. What do I need to know and what do I need to understand? So I think you need to take your education into your own hands.
Now, if you don't have that ability to be able to get somebody in the company to be training you, what I'll share with you is you want to ask questions and say, let me help me understand a little bit more, because I'm going to get somebody involved from our company who really can help you and help understand what the issue is. And so what you're doing is you're trying to feel like you're doing the customer service by asking them in-depth questions, because the feeling is you're going to get that one special person in the company. So as you're going through this ramp up of getting educated, like what Mayor was talking about, it allows you to not quite feel so stupid, because again, it can feel a little bit intimidating. Now, some organizations, there is a clear handoff, and sales leaders watching this, listening to this right now, you got to make sure that you set very clear expectations throughout the organization as to where does the handoff happen and where does the qualification occur. And here's the key piece. The customer had better feel comfortable with it. Because if the customer just feels like, oh, I press 3 for customer service, press 4 for complaint, if they feel it's nothing more than a find the right person on your own, they're going to disconnect. But if they feel they are actually being routed through a process that's customized for them, they will feel special.
I think that's great advice. I'd also say that just decide that for a year, 6 months to a year, this is going to be your education. Going out on those calls, really paying attention to how the person that you brought with you is handling that. Ask to be a part of the process. Take notes, learn, because that's going to be some of the best training that you are going to get, is watching other people and how they handle those calls. So just decide that this is going to be your education, and for a while you're going to need to hand it off, but you're going to take the time, you're going to learn, and you're going to pay attention, and you'll get stronger in each of those pieces every time. So be a student even on the sales call.
And as you learn, focus your effort on one particular piece at a time. Don't try to learn everything in the organization at one time. You just become overwhelmed. But if you learn one piece at a time and become comfortable with it, and then you build the next building block, I think you'll get up to speed a lot faster than you realize. And suddenly you'll become that key influential person that customers want to speak to. So it's good. Hey, let's jump into the topic. Outbound highlights. Where do we start?
Well, first of all, if we have one listener out there, that's all we could possibly have, who is not familiar with Outbound, I put it at the bottom here, outboundconference.com. Just go ahead and check it out. Highlights from Outbound. Well, first of all, Mark, I have to say the biggest highlight was just being in person again. I mean, the energy, the stage, the people engaging and talking was just really, really exciting. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, totally agree. And what's interesting is the people who are there, we were talking about this last night, Jeb, Anthony, Victor, and myself. We were talking about how the salespeople who are there are so committed to the industry. And I made the comment, we've gone from creating a sales community to creating a sales movement.
Yeah.
Of really elevating sales as to what it can be and should be. And because it was amazing, the level of conversations I was having. And throughout the week, I had several coaching calls I had to break away through. And people were asking me, and several of the people who I was coaching they were listening to the virtual. And they were sharing with me their highlights. And this is what's interesting. Victor made this comment. He said, it was a little bit like mental candy, if you think about this, because he would be talking to somebody and they took one highlight away from one speaker, but then he took away a different highlight. Talked to somebody else, they took away a different highlight. Everybody takes away different highlights depending on where they are on the sales journey, where they are in their sales customer base, where they are in their needs development. But it's amazing. You could not come away from there without gaining insights. And that's something I find very key. Great salespeople never stop learning. They are continuously finding something new that they can add to their repertoire, something they can change, something they do a little bit differently, but they never stop learning. And that's what we had. We had a room full, both in person and online, of top performing salespeople continuously learning.
Yeah, and do you know what something that really struck me about the audience? I was thinking about this on the way home yesterday. Is that from the very first Outbound I went to this Outbound is how much the audience was younger. There were a lot more women in the audience, a lot more minorities in the audience. It really hit me how diverse sales is becoming. Years ago, pretty much every sales audience you spoke to was typically older white men. It was just typically been that type of a profession, but it's really expanding because I really think that people are catching on to just how great a profession it is.
I think without a doubt. And what's interesting, go back to the first event we held. We held it in 2017. We had about 300 people there. And I would say 2/3, 3/4 of the audience came because they were solopreneurs. They were in other words, they had a solo business. We have shifted today to where we see more sales teams coming.
Yeah.
And I think this really screams and shouts about the quality of the content and how companies, this is what's interesting. Companies know, and smart sales leaders know, they have to continuously invest in their people. And I had a couple conversations with several people who made the comment that they had come on their own dime, but they were willing to invest. And they're saying because of Outbound, they said, you know what, they're going to increase the amount of money they spend on themselves, personally investing in themselves because of how much value they got out of Outbound. They go, wow, I want to keep this learning process going. Yeah. And that's a key piece. Salespeople have to be continuously learning and challenging themselves. And I don't know what's something else you came up with?
Well, I think if I have to look at the overall, messages and things that were there, first of all, I was really struck by how much, one of the biggest things that hit me was how much we were definitely focused on the play of marketing and sales now. Of the fact that I really felt a big message coming across strong in this Outbound was that the future, the power of it going forward is going to be those sales teams that embrace marketing and those marketing teams that really up their game as far as intimately understanding what's going on with the sales team so they can be of value. But I saw so many speakers, you included, who talked about the fact that no longer can marketing and sales really be silos. We are coming out of COVID. We are past that point. Like the thing that keeps coming up for me was there was so much focus on the fact that we have to have the relationship in there, right? We got to pick up the phone. We got to get back in person. I was having a side conversation with somebody. And I said, what's working in your sales right now? And he said, getting back in front of the customer. But you can't get in front of the customer if you don't have the marketing message. And I just heard that over and over again.
Oh, so true. And amazing how many times that came up in sidebar conversations.
Yes.
And several times, several nights. I know you participated in one of the after dark events, dark conversations. I participated in a couple of them. And every night that question came up in terms of how do we integrate better sales and marketing? How do we bring those two things together? And that's key. And that's key. And not only from a social media standpoint. And that was also interesting. The number of conversations, and I know there were several virtual events that people came up to me and asked me about virtual sessions regarding social selling and social media and so forth. And they wanted to get my perspective because they know that I kind of stand out on some pretty bold statements that you can't get sucked into that machine and believe in it. But it's amazing how people have an open mind today that I don't think they had yesterday about how to integrate things.
Yeah, I would agree. I love that Matt said here that marketing teams need to step up and embrace revenue responsibility. I love that. I think that's really powerful. One of my favorite sessions was that one that Jeb does live from the stage, where he does handling objections, and just that the key and innovative ways to really handle objections.
Oh, I'll tell you what it is, because this is one of the key pieces. And you know what's interesting is, and this says something about the sales community. Several times people would ask for volunteers to jump in, And there was no hesitation on people jumping in, no hesitation at all. And it says two things. A, salespeople are maybe we're introverts inside. Boy, we get in front of a room and we become an extrovert. But B, there's a hunger and a willingness to be challenged. Monday afternoon or Tuesday afternoon in the VIP session I was doing with Anthony and Victor, there was a gentleman there who, boy, I'll tell you what, it was almost like we were taking him to the cleaners. And I won't go into the details on it. And he was loving it. He was absolutely loving it because we were helping him reshape what he was doing and how he was doing his whole sales process. But it was a hunger to learn. And that brings up something else, the need to associate with stronger people.
Yeah.
I mean, you come away from a thing like that and you hear what other people are doing, you hear what other people are seeing. And we really do become the sum of the 5 people we associate with the most. And it's just mind-blowing how it changes your thinking. It changes your perspective. And again, I had several people come up to me yesterday saying, Mark, this changed my career. I had a lady come up to me yesterday and I met her on the first day and had a question. She had a question for me. And then she came up on the last day. She said, Mark, you have I can't tell you the amount of time I've been on the phone with my marketing team. She's with a small startup company, only I think there's like 4 people in sales, 3 people in marketing. She says, I can't believe the amount of time I've been spending on the phone with marketing, how we're going to rebuild this, rebuild that. That's huge.
Yeah, I agree. I love Alexander. Great. So glad you attended. Outbound is the best conference for sales. And you've always thought marketing and sales should collaborate to grow revenues. It's encouraging to see this integration moving forward. That was one of the biggest messages that came from me from Outbound really is you really can't hide behind this anymore. The other thing that I really loved about Outbound this year that I thought was more this year than I'd ever seen before is there was so much more opportunity for the audience to just ask us questions. Just engage, get involved, and ask us anything they wanted to know, which I thought was a really powerful part of the conference, that so much of it was based on questions from the audience or questions where we didn't necessarily have planned answers. We just put things out there.
Yeah. And I think that, again, that talks about how everybody has a different lane that they're playing in. And yet we're all learning from everybody's lane. I'll tell you what, the amount of networking, the amount of, and this year was so different because we had no lunch. We fed people, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But there was no breaks and so forth. So to speak, those scheduled networking pieces were not there. It was funny. I'm standing on the curb last night waiting for my Uber, which you do not try to get an Uber in Centennial Square area the night that the Atlanta Hawks are having a home game. And there's something going on in Centennial Park. And there's something also in Mercedes-Benz Arena. I'm just saying, it's not a good time to try to catch an Uber. And a gentleman comes up to me who had been with us at Outbound. And we had an absolutely wonderful 20-minute conversation while I'm patiently waiting for my Uber. But again, these were the conversations that carried over. I went out to dinner one night with my team and we were at a restaurant and there were some other people there and boom, before we know it, we're all talking together, collaborating, talking, sharing ideas about sales. That really speaks highly about the sales community. So anyway,
I agree. Let's answer John's question here.
Yeah.
Other than messaging, what other marketing questions were top of mind? John, one of the biggest things that came up about marketing, and this came up in a couple of side conversations I had, and a lot of my breakout was lead quality. Was that sales and marketing really needed to integrate more on lead quality and on the follow-up system, on helping salespeople nurture those leads, really nurture those leads along. That where the marketing and sales leaders needed to get was they needed to clearly define role responsibility and really help each understand not only how they complement each other, but what their role is in complementing each other. And it's going to be, like I said, this isn't rocket science. It's not a topic we haven't heard before, But what I got from Outbound was there's an urgency around it. And if you can get out in front of it, you're going to shine in 2021, 2022. And that's what Outbound is about, is picking up the trends. Where should you be focusing your time, energy, and resources?
Yeah, I'm going to add to that. The gulf between MQL and SQL is too wide. MQL, marketing qualified lead, and SQL, sales qualified lead. That gulf is too wide. Now, there's always going to be differences, but we have to bring those two much closer together.
Absolutely.
And as a salesperson, I'm going to say MQL's got to come closer to SQL. Okay, I'll just be point. Hey, time is moving fast on us. Let's jump to the book. Are you ready for the book? Are you ready for me to surprise you?
Yeah, it's a surprise. Yes.
Anthony Iannarino's book, Eat Their Lunch. Because I'll tell you what, this is a book that takes you all the way through the sales process. And it's about eating the customer's lunch before they eat your lunch. And I'll tell you what, he came out with it a few years ago. And jump on it, people. Jump on it. Because, if you were at Outbound, you really do realize how much of an intellectual Anthony is. And every year he becomes more and more. The guy is the most well-read, well-learned individual. But anyway, he's got 3 books out. I really like Eat Their Lunch. So anyway, grab that book. So anyway, hey, also early bird tickets are available for Outbound 2022. There's only 100 early bird tickets. Outbound is the week of September 18th, 2022. Okay, we're moving it to September. We're moving it to September. Go to outboundconference.com, and early bird tickets are now available. There's only 100 of them. And once those are gone, that's it. That's it. So jump on those, because I'm sure those will be gone here. I hate to say it, even by the time this actually gets out to iTunes and Spotify and everything, they might be gone.
Yes, you better
let me tell you something. Before we went live, when I was in the green room with Meridith, I was sharing her some of the little insights that we got planned. Believe me, this one's going to blow your mind away.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to block my calendar today.
You better block your calendar. So anyway, hey, with that, we need to get into the lightning round, and the lightning round is top things we learned from Outbound. Go.
Number 1 is that it is time to get back in front of the customer.
I'm going to add talk to marketing. What is their definition of an MQL? And begin to ask yourself, how do you align that closer to your SQL?
Yeah, I really learned that that I'm not going to take no for an answer, that there are so many different ways that I can overcome objections and keep that relationship moving along.
Empathy is something we learned about during the pandemic. It is not going away.
No, empathy's big. That leadership and sales really need to be integrated, that even just because you think of yourself as a sales professional, we talked so much about leadership and what we need to do to lead the customer, what we need to do to lead our other, our other members, those types of things.
Video.
Yeah, that you better learn to adapt. That what you're using right now may not be working in a month or so, but that the sales professionals who succeed are those who can adapt and change rapidly.
And that means be continuously learning.
That, again, I'm going to repeat, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. This came up over and over again. You need to push out of your comfort zone and be around really successful people.
And with that, I'm going to add the value of a mastermind group. And before we get away, we need to talk about the Sales Logic mastermind group. So, hey, why don't you share one more? I'll share one more. We'll talk a little bit about the mastermind group, and then we'll close things down.
One of my most big aha moments, I think I knew this, but it was a good reminder, is that to get a sale to close, you need to start at the beginning of the sale.
I'm going to say, be confident in everything that you do, knowing that you're influencing and impacting people. So, hey, we before we close this down, we got something really, really kind of cool. Sales Logic mastermind group. Meridith and I are doing this. It is really going to help you in the second half of the year. And we want you to go out to Sales Logic Podcast. You can get kind of the registration form, get signed up for it. We're accepting members right now. So Meridith, why don't you kind of walk through a little bit about the genesis of the idea and the outcome people will get?
Yeah, well, it's a genius idea. You're going to love it. You're going to be blown away at the price for it. We are in essence going to guide you through third and fourth quarter. If you are looking for a way to make third and fourth quarter your best quarters on record and to be well positioned for 2022, you want to join this mastermind. We're going to meet every month. We're going to have an online community, but we are going to give you the skills, give you the strategies, give you the support, and most importantly, the accountability to make third and fourth quarter your best on record.
And it's so important because this is the community, and we're going to be holding people accountable. Meridith and I are leading this, and it really is going to be that intimacy that you need. So saleslogicpodcast.com. Get the application, get involved. It is very, very affordable. It kicks off like right now. We want you involved with that. So anyway, hey, with that, I want to say,
can I just tell them, when we say affordable, we're ridiculous with affordable. This is a 6-month mastermind. It is only $197. $197 to be part of a group that you can connect to, you can learn from, but most importantly, that's going to support you in moving your efforts forward.
Yeah, I'm almost embarrassed to say how cheap that is, but
Yeah.
But that's because we both made a commitment. We don't want anybody saying price is a barrier. We don't want anybody saying price is a barrier. So this is one of those things that it is so affordable. I don't care if you can't, your company isn't paying for it. You can certainly pay for it. Do it. This is investing in yourself and the ROI. So hey, with that, want to say thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend about our show. It's how we grow to help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical.
All right. Check out Sales Logic Podcast Mastermind. We'll see you right back here next week, Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. My fault we were late today. I had to do a presentation, but we will be back on time next week. We'll see you then. Sell your heart out until we see you next week.